Hi, year fives. Right, this is our acquire a fine for our reading lesson. As you know, in our reading lessons, we always analyse a text first, don't we? So our acquire a fine is analyse, where we pick apart a text. Well, first of all, we read it purely to enjoy it. Then we pick it apart a little bit. We look at words we're not sure of, sentences, lines, phrases we're not sure of, discuss that, and then move on to any questions you've got about the text. Going a little bit different, obviously being at home. Some of you might have done this during if you had an isolation period. So you're going to have to get a pen and pencil, a pencil and piece of paper, or a pen and paper, and normally be writing on the text. Just scribble things down, and you can send a photo of that piece of paper. You can attach that as your work. So as normal, we've got a little text here. We've got Elton John, Candle in the Wind. Now you'll be noticing straight away, Elton John, he's a songwriter. Well, we're looking at some songs this week. Songs are just as much text, just as much poetry, just as much, even more so. They're better sometimes to actually pick apart, and the meanings can be different for everybody. So they're just as powerful as stories and other things. They're a text, aren't they? They give us information. We can infer them differently. There's fantastic vocabulary. So what I want you to do is have a listen to the song. You've got the text. It looks a bit different to you guys. I've put mine on one screen so that I can write on it. Yours is attached to the assignment. It's on like Google Docs. Have a little read over it. There's a link on your page to listen to the song as well. Off Elton John, probably one of Elton John's most famous albums, back in 1973, I think it was. And when you're listening to it or when you've read it, have a little look through and just start to think, okay, what don't I understand here? So, for example, I might go, hang on a minute, who's that? Who's Norma Jean? Not heard of her before, or maybe you have. So on your piece of paper, you've got a little piece of paper, you'll just write that on your piece of paper. Number one is in your first thought or your first thing. You might not even have to number it, okay? And that's essentially what we do. Pause the video there, have a listen, read it, jot down a few things, or maybe you want to come back to the video, because what I'm going to do next is I'm going to annotate on my screen here. You might want to do it with me. You might want to do it first. You might want to do it after. It's completely your choice. But your first job, listen to the song, read the words, and then decide, do you want to look what I'm doing or do you want to jot down your own thoughts? Okay? Right. So you've listened to the song, you've read the lyrics. I'm going to have a look at this. So I've already said, well, first of all, Candle in the Wind. I wonder what that means. What does that mean? A candle in the wind. Why are you singing about a candle? So is he singing about a candle? Is song about a candle? I don't know. You might know because you've read the text. Though I never knew you at all, you had the grace to hold yourself. Now, it might be that you don't know the word grace, but this has come before, hasn't it? Grace, remember, means beauty. You're graceful. It's delicate. You had the grace to hold yourself. So the grace to hold yourself means like carry yourself around. So you walk around very beautifully and gracefully. While those around you they crawled out of the woodwork. Now that crawled out of the woodwork, that is a known phrase. To crawl out of the woodwork is to come out when you want something. So to come out when you want something. Now you might have heard somebody say that phrase, but essentially, if you've crawled out of the woodwork, you can do it in like with friends. It can be like you don't see a friend for weeks and weeks, and then all of a sudden they want to borrow your football. Oh, you've crawled out of the woodwork. I've not seen you for a few weeks, and now you want to borrow my football, or something like that. So already we're talking about somebody who's very beautiful and delicate and holding herself very strongly, but there's people around her who crawled out the woodwork to her. They whispered in your brain. They set you on a treadmill. Well, a treadmill is what you run on. Doesn't stop. And they made you change your name. Well, my question there is why? Why would you change Norma Jean to something else? And it seems to me you lived your life. Here we go. Here's the song title. Like a candle in the wind. Now it starts like a. So instantly, that's a simile. Spotted it. Like a candle in the wind. Now I'm going to go all the way down here. Whee! It's hard to write down there. So, what's that like? Oops, spelled that wrong. So what's that like? Imagine a candle in the wind. You light a match, you light the candle. What's the flame? I'm going to put flame in capitals. What does that do in the wind? Because Elton John is singing about whoever this person is. Your life is like a candle in the wind. So your life, it's beautiful. You know, a candle is bright, it's warm, it brings hope in darkness, but it's in the wind. What he means by that? Never knowing who to cling to when the rain sets in. Now, I know that's a question coming up, so I'm not going to look at that too much, but never knowing who to cling to. Cling to means to go to, doesn't it? When the rain sets in. Now, I'm just going to say, does that mean when it actually rains? Remember, we're thinking powerful language. We've already got similes, so we've already got figurative language here. When the rain sets in, does that mean it actually rains? Think about our discussions about when we set our story, the atmosphere we create. I would have liked to have known you, but I was just a kid. Your candle burned out long before your legend ever did. So your candle burned out. So, if you're a legend, you are remembered, aren't you? You know, you have a legacy. Whatever you leave behind is well remembered. So your candle burned out, but your legend hasn't, basically. Again, is he on about an actual candle? What is the candle? And remember, that's been answered because I'm scribbling everywhere. Her life is like the candle. Loneliness was tough, the toughest role you ever played. Hollywood created a superstar. Ooh, hang on then. Toughest role you ever played. Hollywood created a superstar. Was she an actress? Oops, that's the wrong button. There we go. Even when you die, and the pain was the price you paid, and pain was the price you paid, and when you died, all the press still hounded you. Now, we've talked about hounded before. I think the wolves will really be chased. If you're hounded, I'm not going to talk about that because I know that's a question. See, and again, seems to me live your life a candle rain, never knowing who to cling to when the rain sets in. So that's the chorus, isn't it? There, got ourselves the chorus, the bit that repeats in the song. I'd like to have known you, but I was just a kid. Oh, maybe all of that's the chorus. That's been repeated as well. I never knew you all. You had the grace to hold yourself. Those on your crawl. Yeah, more than just our Marilyn Monroe. There's your big clue. That's who he's singing about. Also, I gave you a picture at the top. So, I massively clicked the wrong button there. There we go. Norma Jean, Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe, a very famous actress. So she changed her name to Marilyn Monroe. She was actually called Norma Jean. So, bit of a very. I mean, I wish we were in class for this. I think we'd go a lot deeper with this, and I think there'd be a lot of questions and a lot of ideas flying around. But at the very least, if you haven't written much down, you've listened to my discussion with you, and you've got an understanding of the text. So at the bare minimum, thank you for coming to this lesson, okay, and having a look at this. Really, when you start to think about the lyrics, a very powerful and potentially very deep song there. I look forward to Thursday, where you'll be answering some questions about this, and it'll all be kind of inference. So, what do you think this means? What do you think this means? But very, very well done.